Hi. Hi. Hello. Happy Monday. Hi, Flawless. Hi, Jimber. Hello. Hi, Rubber Eagle. Thank you for being here, guys. How are you doing? Oh, Hook and Set Redeem Pizza Party and Shenanigans check-in. Oh, hello. Shenanigans check-in. Shenanigans. I have all my I have my blurbs off for today, just for now. Just because, you know, sometimes it can get a little
Shenanigans.
I think the shenanigans is funny. I like it. You know? But yeah. Hi, Dave. Welcome in. How are you? How are we all doing? Is the music good? Is the sound of the music good? Is the how do you say? Is the volume? Let's chopped a bit. A little lip balm there. Guitar guy sounds perfect. Yay, okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Look at that. This space is already a palace and your presence makes it shine. Tiptoes up, oh my gosh. Frosty, you're funny. Oh my gosh, Frosty Tools is funny, dude. So funny. Yeah, so thank you all for being here, guys. Happy Monday. I hope that you're all having a freaking fantastic Monday so far and having a really good start to the week. So if you look at the title of today's Mental Health Monday, we're talking about what if everything you believe about yourself is wrong? Our mind can be a prison or a palace. Yeah, hi Max. Welcome in, Max. Drive safe. I know you're still working. Drive safe. Make sure you're keeping yourself nice and safe there, Max. So, like I said, neat. Holy, wow, Dave, 60 days, 60 stream streak. Oh my gosh. Hi, Flawless. Always okay. Hope you have a good day. I hope it's not. I saw your snap, your long drive today, eh? Yeah. Cheeks, hello, welcome in. How are you doing? Auntie Bubbles, welcome in. Thank you for being here, guys. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday so far. So, today I kind of wanted to start with a question, right? What if our mind is not always telling us the truth? Because if you think about it, Yay, I'm so happy you're here. I'm good. It's hot here today. It's a little bit warm, so I have the window open. There's no breeze here today, but it's okay. Loner next door. Hi, Loner next door. Look at all the VIPs. They're VIP for a reason. It's because they're always here. You know? I'm so happy you're able to make it today, Into Bubbles. It's toasty out. Keep us. I know. I have a Zevia drink going. I have water going. It's like there's a lot. I have a bunch of drinks here. I have a cooler with electrolytes and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. How you doing, Laura next door? So, like I said, like, what if our mind isn't always telling us the truth? right? My comfort place is here. Ah, nice. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So our mind keeps playing tricks with ourselves, and we talked about this here before, but I think it's something that is always worth bringing back, to talk about it, because if you think about it, how many times have we told ourselves that, we're not good enough, or that we're gonna fail, or that everyone leaves, or like, I think that my personal favorite one is, well, this is just who I am. But what if it isn't, right? What if some of those thoughts are not really who we are? And what if, what if there are things in our mind learned from pain, rejection, trauma, or just trying, to survive? Because I feel like our mind learns from what happens to us, Someone leave, and then our mind goes, okay, people leave, got it, We fail at something, and then suddenly we're like, sure, we can't do anything right? Or someone hurt us, and then we're like, cool, we're never trusting anyone again, right? It happens. And honestly, I feel like sometimes we don't even question those thoughts that come into our mind. We don't even question them. It's just our inner voice. And then we'll just assume they're all true. They must be true, because they sound just like us, right? But I think today I wanted us to question those voices a little bit, not judging ourselves, just questioning those voices a little bit. Not blame ourselves, just be a little bit curious, where did this thought come from? And is it actual truth? Or is it something that pain taught us to believe? Our mind loves to trick us 100%. 100%. This is why I feel like gathering evidence for the contrary is important. Like, am I worthy? Am I lovable? I can do hard things. Yes. Also, hello. 2048 GT. How are you doing today? Welcome in. I appreciate the words. I feel like gathering evidence for the contrary is important. It's Dan the Canuck! Oh my gosh! Dan, I'm sending a big Canadian heart. Thank you. Oh, don't hate yourself right now. Hi, Kiss. Thank you so much, Dan, for your raid. Guys, Dan is actually another mental health streamer. He does only mental health streams, and he reads books, and he's very, very kind soul. Super lovely to watch. And the classic are Ace. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Your taste in classic is top notch, just like our community. I appreciate it. And thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much for your raid. That's very kind of you. Fine specimen indeed. This Canadian streamer serves up a chilled platter of conversation and crafts, seasoned with a dash of mental health awareness. From just chatting to guided meditations, yes, he does guided meditations, Daddy Canuck variety stream is like a perfect balance of sushi roll, relaxing and nourishing for the soul. Bon appetit! Nice. I love to raid you once. Oh, thank you! Is that Dean Winchester? Yes, it's Dean Winchester. He wears a different shirt all the time. Today he's wearing Save Fairies. So, again, thank you so much. Baby J56, thank you. 256, welcome in. Likely ban evader restricted. AI viewers tremble. Oh my gosh. I'm hungry. Oh, you're hungry. You should grab a bite to eat. Loner next door. Yeah. Banned by Wisebot. That's perfect. Yeah, I usually put horror shirts on him, but I thought, I'm like, you know what? I feel like putting Save Fairies on him today. Who doesn't like Ferris Bueller Day Off movie? Hunger should be taken care of unless you're fasting. Yes, for sure. Spider-Man, hey, Mayhem, hi, welcome in. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you're doing fantastic. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. And let's try to get a nice, strong start for the week, Sushi, and I had a whole talk about that shirt. We did, yeah. You should for every stream is an amazing idea. Yeah, I like it. I had a last stream too, but the only person that noticed was actual Dave. Dave is the only one that noticed the Save Fairy shirt on him. So hi, Grandmaster Ong, welcome in. Hope you're having a really good work day. All the kids good. Kids good. Kid is at the park right now. Brad, welcome in. Hello. Hello. Oh, I'm just so happy right now. You guys are so nice, so nice, so nice. Yeah. So like I said, for those of you who missed, hate to raid and go, but I have to get off Twitch for a few stays. Oh, yeah, no problem. Of course, Dan. I appreciate the raid. I really do. I'm very grateful. I hope you have a fantastic Monday, and thank you for doing your mental health streams. We need more of them out there, so thank you for doing that. How are you doing, Grandmaster Ong? Take care of yourself, then. Yes. Oh! 333 days, Lone Next Door. It's been following. Wow! Long time! My gosh. Thank you. Sticking through these ad breaks support the stream. Thank you. Oh my gosh, there's an ad. There's an ad. There's an ad. So I am going to say for those of you who missed, what if everything you believe about yourself is wrong? Like the negative parts. And because our mind can be a prison or it can be a palace. You know? So, and I just wanted to be clear that this is not going to be one of those, just think positive talks, although we can do a lot of positive talks is good, but I think that we can't just slap a positive quote on years of pain and magically fix everything, right? I wish it worked like that. I'm doing good. Actually, I'm doing really good. I had a really good sleep, and even though I went to bed a bit late, I still had a really, really good sleep, and I woke up feeling pretty refreshed. Yes, and I had some nice iced coffee with some chocolate collagen and coconut milk. It was very tasty and refreshing in this heat. Today is a bit hot here. So, yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm having sushi for dinner tonight. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. Ooh, I'm putting ideas in my head now. Oh my gosh. Yes. I gotta have sushi sometime soon. Yeah, so, like I said, we can't really slap positive quotes on years of pain, right? We all wish it worked like that, but it doesn't really work like that. So today, I'm really looking at the stories we tell ourselves and just maybe asking, is this like my true or is this survival talking, And at work, twerky. And like I always say, I wanted to keep it clear that I am not a mental health professional. This is just us talking, sharing experiences, and hopefully learning a little about, ourselves together, It's just a little support space for everybody. And this is just me basically doing research and sharing some of the information that I learned, And yes, so take what it helps and leave away what doesn't, And please take care of yourselves if there's anything today that feels heavy, all right? Yeah, can I tell you something? Of course, yes, please. Oh, you ask how can I support? And say, can I tell you something? Yeah. In the meantime, yeah, let's just take a nice deep breath in and a nice deep breath out, Doctor, therapist, life coach, Sushi is not a licensed professional. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a coach, although I do want to take a life coach course so I can actually do that. What if I can't let it go of someone who I love? Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think, in my opinion, first you have to ask, where does that love where's that love coming from, right? Like, was it a breakup that this person doesn't talk to you anymore? You would like to have this person in your life? Because I know this sounds harsh, but for me, I feel like when I really love someone and I see them happy with somebody else, to me loving that person so much is be feeling happy that they're happy with that other person, even if they're not with me. Because for me, love is not possessive, you know? That's me, though. And it took me a long time to have non-possessive love, you know? And this is how I feel. And so just asking yourself a place of where's this love coming from? And maybe I'm not explaining it properly because this the love thing is very deep. It's very like complex, you know? So I think you have to ask yourself where the love is coming from. Are you in love with that person because of how the person makes you feel? You know, I don't know. I haven't been in love in a long time, so I don't like, you know? Yeah. But in that aspect, again, I'm gonna talk about the prison we didn't know we built, right? Because if you think about it, our mind can be a prison or it can be a palace, right? I've been in love a lot. Oh, I've been in love a lot. Yeah. I'm older now, so I think for me it's like the whole love thing is a different thing for me. Love is an interesting thing, especially with time and age. 100%. The way I see love now is completely different than when I used to see love 20 years ago, you know, or 30 years ago, even, you know. Yeah. Exactly. From being 18 to now 42, same. For being around 16, 17 to being now 45, it's, you know, too dope, Dan. Love is very different at 45 than it was at 25. So different. Yes, that's why it's tough to, you know, talk about that in a way, you know. Yeah, thank you for the Dr. Pepper, Dan. Thank you. So I think that the scary part about the prison and palace mindset is that sometimes we're living in a place we're never meant to build, right? Yeah. We are such different versions of ourselves. Yes, we are. Like, very much. Enough for everyone. Thanks, Dan. Yes, lots of DP. Lots of DP for everyone. Yeah, and the version of ourselves, you know, as we get older, is a lot of it is being aware of those thoughts in our head, those destructive thoughts in our head, because we all have them. We have them from since we're little. You know, it never goes away, and it sounds just like us. Just serving my country one Dr. Pepper at a time. That's funny. So we slowly move into thoughts that pain build us, right? We move into beliefs that rejection has handed us. And so we moved into fear because at one point, I feel that at one point in our life, fear was the first thing that made us feel prepared, you know? And I feel like before we knew it, we were trying to build a beautiful life from a mind that felt more like a locked room. Thank you, Dope Dan. Thank you. Hope it's well with you too. It's been a while since I've seen you. Thank you for being here. And for me, this is where healing becomes so much deeper than just motivation, you know? Because I started realizing that healing was not just about changing what I had survived. It was about restoring the place I was living inside myself. Because we think our lives are only shaped by what's happening around us, right? But our life is also shaped by what's happening inside us, because we don't just live in our homes, we live in our minds first, right? So I think before we walk into a room or a place or an environment, sometimes our minds already decided, how we're gonna feel in that place, before even someone speaks to us. Our mind has already tried to figure out whether it's safe or not, that place, you know? And I think that before we even try something new, our mind sometimes already whisper to us that, you know, we're not capable or something like that. And if our mind has been shaped by trauma, especially disappointment, shame, guilt, abandonment, or like rejection, maybe it would not be giving us the truth, you know, and maybe just trying to protect us, you know. Say the same, had to come through and show love. Thank you for the love. Thank you. And so, you know, maybe our mind is just trying to protect us, but protection is not always wisdom, though. You know, sometimes protection is just fear wearing, you know, the mask of maturity kind of thing. You know, sometimes one of the hardest parts of healing is realizing that life is inviting us towards a future our mind still believes is dangerous. Think about that a bit, you know? Our mind learns through repetition. And that means whatever we keep thinking, whatever we keep rehearsing, whatever we keep fearing, whether the story we keep replaying eventually starts to feel familiar, right? And what's familiar can start feeling like it's true, right? Even if it's not true, you know, even if it's not healthy. That's why we can be completely free on the outside, but then feel trapped on the inside. And I feel like nothing is holding us back anymore, but our thoughts are still repeating the same old sentence. You're not enough. You're going to fail, you know, everyone's going to leave, you know, we're too late, you know, we're messing things up, or, you know, all of those thoughts that keep repeating in our minds. And I feel like the more we repeat those thoughts, the more our nervous system begins treating them like reality, you know, our personal reality, right? And this is where healing becomes so powerful. Because healing doesn't just help us move forward. Sometimes it stops the story we've been telling ourselves for years. That's why some of us struggle to enjoy peace when it's finally here, you know? Yeah. She elite bone knowledge. Oh, you're so sweet. Fort Explorer, hello, how are you? Sushi love, thank you, Fort Explorer. Fort Explorer, amen, amen. Thank you. So, our mind is still waiting for chaos. We don't know how to rest without feeling guilty. Think about that. You're a lemastic? Anyone feels like she's inside her head. Aww. So I feel like we don't always know how to accept love without looking for the nearest exit. Have you noticed that? And we don't always know how to enjoy good moments without expecting something terrible to happen next. Can you think about it? Can you relate to this? You know? So we're not really living in the present. We're living inside a mental prison built from our past. Think about that, right? So I feel like sometimes the blessing is not just when another door opens. Sometimes the blessing is finally feeling safe enough to walk through it. Right? And I think that brings me to a really important question. Are we thinking from truth? Or are we thinking from survival? Think about it. Because every thought that sounds responsible is not always wise. Some thoughts are not trying to actually guide us. They're just trying to make sure we never get hurt again. But that's tough, man. That's the difficult thing. The same mind that protects us from pain can also keep us from living the life we're capable of building. So sometimes the place we're most afraid to step into is exactly where healing begins. Not because we're rushed, not because we're being rushed or anything like that, not because we're being judged, but because we're slowly being reminded that what happened to us doesn't get to become the final architect of who we're going to become, who we're becoming, right? So I think maybe the first step is to just learn to separate a thought from a fact, you know? Because a thought can say something like, I'm going to fail. And the fact says, I'm scared because this matters to me, you know? A thought can say, nobody loves me. And a fact can say, I'm feeling lonely right now and I need connection. You know? Or it can say, I can't do this. But then the fact will say, I've never done this before, so I have something to learn. It's just a frame of mind, right? And I think that's how we begin to unlock that prison. Not by fighting every thought, but just by being curious about the thoughts. Now, where did this thought coming from? Is it actually true? Is it fear? Is it wisdom? Is it helping me grow? Or is it helping us hide? Is that voice the voice of pain or trauma? Or is the voice of truth, you know? Trying to lead us somewhere, you know, a little healthier. You know? I can't do this, but have something new to learn. Exactly. Because our mind becomes a prison when every painful thought is treated like a life sentence, right? But I think that our mind becomes a palace when we finally make room for truth to live there too. Not just the pain, right? And maybe healing is not about becoming someone completely different. Maybe it's just remembering that we were never meant to spend our whole lives locked inside the things that try to break us. Know what I mean? So, fantastic! Hello, welcome in. So I wanted to stop here for a minute and think, and I think this is where a lot of us can recognize ourselves. You know, have you ever caught yourself believing something about yourself that later turned out to not be true? No, maybe you thought you weren't good enough, or maybe you thought everyone would leave and abandon you. Maybe you convinced yourself that you would never succeed. Don't feel pressure to share anything personal if you don't want to. It's fine. Just if you want to share anything, you're welcome to. You know, what's one thought you caught yourself believing that you later realized was an actual truth? So I think that, think about that. And I have a little video to share with you guys. Oh my, yes. My dad passed away 4 years ago on February 15th. Aw. I can't imagine what it's like to lose, you know, a parent, because I still have both my parents. They are getting old though, so I'm seeing them soon. That I'm sorry that this happened to you, Fantastic. I don't know what it would feel like. I don't even know how to imagine what it would feel like, you know? So I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna pause this and then I'm gonna come back here and we're gonna watch this little video together. Send you hugsies, lots of hugsies. So I'm gonna get my camera off and let's watch this video and see if you guys can relate. 9 uncomfortable signs you're healing emotionally.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to another video. Healing is not easy. There's a lot of stigma regarding going to therapy and doing any independent inner self work. It's still seen as something that either weak or crazy people do. And that's just not true. It might not be 100% easy, but healing is a journey that leads to deep fulfillment that nothing outside of you could shake or take away. This process is very humbling, but with high risk comes high reward. During this journey, you will start to feel the growing pains of change and self-integration. Keep moving forward. This discomfort is helping you move into a beautiful life in which you have a deeper sense of inner peace. Here are 9 uncomfortable signs that you are healing. Number 1, you allow yourself to feel your emotions. When you're still stuck in survival mode, you're mostly focused on logic and what you see because emotions are painful for you to feel and process. It's hard for you to take the time and make room for your emotions to just be acknowledged and validated because it reminds you of hurt that you would have liked to keep buried. When you heal, you start acknowledging your negative and positive emotions because you realize that extreme focus on one is detrimental to your whole being and that you are a whole person. It's uncomfortable at first, but as you are no longer suppressing or denying them, you see the value of your emotions and feelings and of just letting yourself sit with them and allowing them to pass. Number 2, you're getting better at expressing and maintaining boundaries. When you're not healed or in the process, you struggle with stating and enforcing boundaries because you're afraid of rejection, feelings of shame and guilt from putting your own interests first, or saying what's on your mind. It's unusual to set firm boundaries when you're not used to it. But once you start, it creates more healthy interpersonal dynamics because you stated your opinions and emotions. You have the mental and emotional clarity, and you are more capable of making your own decisions. Number 3, you accept that you've been through difficult experiences. Life is hard and unfair, and instead of suppressing all of the experiences that you have been through, you acknowledge and accept that they happened. You accept that these people, places, and things had life-changing impact on you and probably still do. Once you have accepted that these uncomfortable events impacted you in their entirety, they actually start to hurt you less because you've accepted the truth and are in charge of the narrative of your life again. Number 4, you're less reactive and more responsive. When you're in survival mode, everything and everyone is a threat and is treated as such. Nothing is trusted, and you don't have time to sit and logically think things through because you are pure action, needing to defend yourself constantly. Once you start healing, your natural response of lashing out, shutting down, running away, or people-pleasing is tested and slowly makes way for questioning your feelings and reactions regarding things. You even find yourself asking, why do I think this way? Where does this thinking come from? You start practicing emotional self-regulation, self-analysis, and responsibility. Number 5, you realize that healing is not linear. Healing is uncomfortable because you're unearthing and confronting things you would have preferred to keep suppressed. Once you get into the rhythm, you realize that part of that healing is that this distress is okay and normal because it's not a straight road to inner peace and healing. You understand and have experienced the highs and lows of healing and know that the feeling of today will not match the feelings of tomorrow or even later on. Number 6, you begin to step out of your comfort zone. Here's the thing about healing. It's not something everyone will do. However, if you decide to, it actually has far-reaching benefits beyond the acceptance and acknowledgement of the traumatic experience. Once you are in the healing process, you're developing bravery around your emotions and your mind. With this newfound conscious control, you are no longer scared by things that scared you before. Scared of making a living situation change? You now are redecorating your bedroom and experimenting with paint colors you never thought you would. Going to a party you don't know? Before, you would have recoiled at the thought. But now it's a little less anxiety-inducing, and you have a bit more confidence. Number 7, you easily accept disappointments and take them in stride. Life is a balance of success and failure, light and dark, ups and downs. When you're not healing, disappointments hit you like a freight truck to the chest, knocking all of the motivation and passion out of you. With healing, you understand that bad days do happen and can't be avoided, but are also temporary. Any disappointments or unmet expectations are accepted and taken in stride. You respond in better, healthier ways that are less reactive. Number 8, you have more inner peace. Healing brings about self-integration. If you're a Harry Potter fan, it's as if Voldemort brought back all of his Horcruxes and decided on becoming a better, complete person who accepts the natural way of life on a soul level. And if you're not a fan, it's like taking inventory of all of your experiences, painful or not, and seeing yourself as the whole person. You develop this inner peace because you deeply forgive yourself. And you can readily forgive others too. By having this peace and integration, you are less likely to self-sabotage because you're no longer a warring country within yourself with conflicting desires and emotions. You reconcile your inner differences. You no longer criticize and dismantle your character in your mind. And number 9, you welcome help and support. The independent survivor has a don't ask for help mentality. Maybe because they never got it when they needed it, or because of the harsh rejection when they spoke up. They shut down to get by and decided to do it by themselves because they had no choice. With healing, you start to realize that as strong as you are, you can't carry and do everything by yourself. You do need help. We all do, and it's available out there for you. You are more open to support and less afraid of having this need for assistance met. The pride and shame you might feel for asking for help are gone because you know that it's okay to let go of the heavy burden on your shoulders and have someone to lean on. Did you relate to any of these points? Do you feel that you are beginning to heal? As rewarding as the first step of healing is, you will run into the discomfort of your healing. And this will try to make you stop, to lessen or ignore the pain. But whatever you resist, you prolong. If you are in the healing process, well done. I'm proud of you for doing this work, and I hope you can find peace through it. And if you're not, that's okay, because healing is a long process that takes time. You're still living and doing what you can. Applaud yourselves. Did you find this video valuable? Tell us in the comments below. Please like and share it with friends that might find use in this video too. Make sure to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell for more content. All the
Psych2Go, guys, is a great channel. Just so you know, like really, really great. Great resources. And then, yeah, we're gonna talk about the inner voices. Isla Heart, welcome in. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday. So, let's talk about the voices in our head. That voice that sounds just like you know? I think that one of the hardest things to accept is that some of the thoughts keeping us stuck around exactly, it's like it sounds exactly like our own voice, and that's what makes them so convincing, you know? Our own voice. They don't come into our mind yelling. They show up sounding familiar. They sound like our personality. They sound just like we talk, you know? They sound exactly like us. It's us talking in our heads, right? I'm good. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm hoping you're doing well too. Welcome back. My mom's not doing good, like I told you. Yes. Can you try to get your mom some help? I don't know what resources you have around where you live, but I think at this point it's very important that you do that. Fantastic, you know? Yes. And I encourage you to try to find her some support, a support system. It's very important. Yeah. So, you know, so our voices, you know, they sound just like us in our mind. It's just us talking, you know. It sounds like our standards. They sound just like us being kind of careful, right? And sometimes they even sound like we're just being realistic, you know. But I feel like sometimes what we can call being realistic is really just our pain trying to make sure we're never disappointed again. And sometimes what we call wisdom is not really wisdom, is really fear that hasn't had a chance to heal yet. And I feel like some of us talking to ourselves in a way we would never speak to someone we love. You know, never, you know. We woke up in the morning and then our mind is already criticizing us. You know, we look in the mirror and then our mind already judging us, right? So we make one mistake and our mind doesn't help us learn from it, right? It's just, it's condemnation. How do you say it? It's condemning us, you know? So our mind wouldn't say something like, we'll learn from this, right? It says, see, this is why you always mess things up, you know? It doesn't say something like, let's try again. It just says it says more something like, we should have known better, you know? Like we should tell ourselves, you know what, we're growing. But instead it will say something like, we're always behind, you know? And I think that after a while of repeating those, we stop noticing how harsh our inner conversation is really, you know, with ourselves. And I think this is really important because not every voice inside our head deserves authority, you know? And some voices we think is wisdom, they're not really wisdom. Hi, friend, Ocular, welcome in. Hi, welcome in. Great minds think alike. That's right. And she pushed the whole family away. You know, you told me that they were married since they were 16. Yes. Yes. I can see, like, that you talked to me about that before, Fantastic. It's a very sad place to be. I'm really sorry about that. You're a beautiful lady. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. My brain told me that for a long time. Still does, just not as much. Yes. So, yeah. We think sometimes those voices are wisdom, but they're not. And sometimes we think those voices are truth, but they're not truth. Right? Some voices are just pain. Speaking a voice we just become familiar with. You know, the way we speak to ourselves is really important because our brain is always listening. It's always learning. And when we constantly speak shame over ourselves, our mind doesn't really hear motivation, right? It hears danger. And when our mind feels threatened, it becomes harder to create, harder to focus, harder to feel inspired, harder to feel motivated. It's harder to trust, it's harder to rest, it's harder to move forward. And that's why I feel like shame rarely creates lasting change, you know? Shame makes us hide. It makes us pretend. I feel like shame makes us punish ourselves, you know? Sometimes we tell ourselves we're being disciplined when we're just bullying ourselves into exhaustion, you know? I have a hard time speaking some English words, exhaustion. I feel like growth doesn't require us to destroy who we are just to become better, you know? There's a huge difference between being guided forward and believing we're beyond fixing, you know? One gives us hope, the other convinces there's no point even trying. And that's why so many people get stuck, you know? We can see this show up in our dreams, when we have dreams, right? Sometimes we don't even begin because our mind has already embarrassed us before we even take the first step, right? We don't post a video because we already imagine the criticism and we're afraid of the shame and all that, right? We don't apply for the opportunity, the job or whatever, because we already imagined the rejection, right? So thank you, Flawless. Thank you very much. I feel like your mind is the first to say, I told you so. If you take the risk, it doesn't go well. I think when people die, they should move forward. People, yeah. Yes, well, we're always, I don't know, I have some different beliefs about this stuff, but I don't want to talk about this because I don't like, you know, I don't have a religion. I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. I don't have like a denomination or anything like that, but I have I was exposed to a lot of different things growing up, a lot of different religions and cults and stuff. So I picked up the positive of everything that I felt like resonated with me, basically, you know? Yeah. So sometimes, even like sometimes we don't open our heart because we already planned for a heartbreak, right? So I feel like maybe like on the surface it looks like we're being really careful, but deep down we're living inside imagined pain, you know? Sometimes the very thing we're afraid to step into is the thing we've been capable all along. We could do this all along. So maybe it's worth asking ourselves a few honest questions here, you know? How many doors have we never walked through because our mind created the punishment before we ever gave life the chance, right? Like if we never, you know, give that chance, you never know. How many dreams have we talked ourselves out of because fear of sounding more convincing than hope? And how many relationships have we struggled with because our mind confused closeness with danger? How many times have we called ourselves lazy or unmotivated when really we were just mentally exhausted from fighting ourselves all day, right? I don't know. And how many times have we caught a glimpse of who we could become, only to let our old story convince us that we're still the person that we used to be, right? I don't know. So I don't know, maybe we should try something, you know, just for one day. Not 10 days, not a month, not, you know, 2 weeks or whatever, just one day. You know, maybe we just pay attention to the thoughts that show up automatically, not the polished thoughts, the thoughts that show up automatically in your head. The honest ones, the thoughts that show up when we're tired, when we make a mistake, and when someone doesn't reply to a message right away. Just pay attention to those, just one day. Okay? When you see someone else succeed, like, what thoughts come into your mind? Maybe we just one day, write those thoughts down. Just be aware of them, you know, and ask yourself, would I say that to someone I love? Would you? Would I teach my child to believe this about themselves? Or any child? Would I want someone I care about carrying those thoughts every day? Does it sound like healing? Does it sound like truth? Like, would I treat somebody the way I treat myself? Or does this sound like pain trying to stay in control? And if the answer is no, then maybe it's time to stop giving that thought so much authority. Because every thought, you know, we continue feeding eventually becomes louder and louder and louder. Right? Oh my, I need to get better on checking my thoughts. We all do. It's discipline, you know? It's like, yeah. So those thoughts, you know, they're not truth. And then they end up becoming a chain, you know? They keep you imprisoned, you know? You know, they're not truth. They just happen to kind of sound like us, you know? And I think that healing begins the moment we stop calling the prison familiar, you know, and start recognizing it for what it is. Because every voice that sounds like us is not always speaking for us. And we can't build a palace when we're speaking with the language of a prison, you know? We can't keep telling ourselves we already lost. You know? No, we can't. And we can't tell ourselves that we already lost and then expect our mind to feel safe enough to grow. No? Yeah, and I think that we can't expect our mind to feel safe enough to grow when we keep thinking like that, right? And we can't keep saying, this is just who I am. when really it's just who pain taught us to become. And maybe the version of ourselves we've been calling it permanent is actually the version that, you know, has been waiting to heal all along. No. That's a good one. I like how you're wording it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Auntie Bubbles. Thank you so much. This is tough. It's tough because we all have that, right? So it's like just being aware, you know? I think that one of the hardest parts for me personally is that it's so easy to notice when someone else is being hard on us. But it's like so much harder to notice when we're the ones doing it to ourselves. Right? Sometimes our inner voice becomes so normal that we don't even question it anymore. I know I've had moments where I've realized, wow, I would never say that to some of my friends or to someone I love. Have you ever had any of that realization? You know? Yeah. I wanted to take another quick look. A quick video. I want to take a quick break for the video. I have a couple of videos about the inner voice. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about something really important. Really important. How we can actually begin changing those thoughts. You know? You're aware of this area of improvements. Oh, Ford, I've been reading a lot of books on this stuff, but it's really hard to, like, sometimes it's you on the right track and you're doing good, and then you get off the track because life happens, right? But I just try not to stay out of that track for too long, right? Get back in it, you know? Get this self-awareness again. Yeah, watch those thoughts. You know? Is that inner battle constantly, right? So I play Fortnite, Bamtastic. I love Fortnite. I actually really like this season that it's on right now. It's fun with the little sprites and everything, you know? I love them. They're so fun. And today they think you get more points for the sprites and stuff. So, yay! Anyways, I have a video. So, oh, the guitar guy. I like the guitar guy. But we're gonna watch. This guy has some really interesting thoughts. This is a 6-minute video. I really enjoyed the way he explained things. So, I have to stop the guitar really quick, and then let's hear what this guy has to say. Okay. You can play with me sometime, Fantastic. Yes, that'll be fun.
I think chatter is one of the big problems we face as a species. We spend between 1/3 and 1/2 of our waking hours not living in the present. And what do we do during that time? We're talking to ourselves. Your inner voice is your ability to silently use language to reflect on your life. Chatter refers to the dark side of the inner voice. When we turn our attention inward to make sense of our problems, we don't end up finding solutions. We end up ruminating, worrying, catastrophizing. We get stuck in a negative cycle that takes this remarkable tool that we possess, this inner voice, and it turns it into a curse rather than a blessing. My name is Ethan Cross. I'm a professor of psychology and management, and I'm the author of the book Chatter, The Voice in Our Head, Why It Matters, and How to Harness It. In terms of whether there's an evolutionary purpose to the inner voice, many scientists believe that language is a tool that helps us navigate the world. And our ability to use language not only to communicate with others, but to communicate with ourselves provides us with a survival advantage. It's an incredible problem-solving device. At the most basic end of the spectrum, our inner voice is part of what we call our verbal working memory system. It's a basic feature of the human mind that helps us keep verbal information active in our heads. Our inner voice also lets us simulate and plan. So before a big presentation, I'll go over in my head what I'm going to say. What are the different talking points that I'm going to run through? I'll hear what questions the audience is going to ask me, and then I'll respond in turn. I'm simulating that exchange, and I'm using my inner voice to help me do that. Our inner voice helps us control ourselves. Think about the last time you may have wanted to reach for a treat late at night, but then you think to yourself, don't do it. You'll regret it in the morning. That's your inner voice. And then finally, the inner voice helps us storify our lives. Many of us turn our attention inward to come up with some narrative that explains our experiences in ways that give shape to our understanding of who we are, our identity. So sometimes this inner voice can be an incredible source of help, but at other times, it can really sink us. First, it makes it incredibly hard for us to focus. Chatter consumes our attention. Chatter can also create friction in your relationships because you're talking about your problems over and over again and not being a great listener to others. It can also make us more irritable and lead to something called displaced aggression. Finally, we know that chatter can have severe negative physical health effects. You've probably heard that stress kills. That's not exactly true. A stress response is a really adaptive response. What makes stress toxic is when it remains chronically elevated over time. This is precisely what chatter does. We experience a stressor in our life, it then ends, but in our minds, our chatter perpetuates it. We keep thinking about that event over and over and over again. And that keeps that stress response active in ways that can predict things like cardiovascular disease, chronic inflammation, and even cancer. It's hard to overstate how negative the implications of chatter can be. The good news is there is a science-based toolkit that you can use to regain control of your inner voice. There are things we can do on our own, ways of harnessing our relationships with other people, and even ways of interacting with physical environments. One really great example of these tools are rituals. We love having control. When you experience chatter, you often feel like your thoughts are in control of you. One of the things that we've learned through science is that we can compensate for this feeling out of control by creating order around us. Rituals are one way to do that. A ritual is an ordered sequence of behaviors that you rigidly perform the same way each time. By engaging in the same sequence of behaviors every time the same way, that's giving you a sense of order and control that can feel really good when you're mired in chatter. The tennis great Rafael Nadal, he said the hardest thing that he struggles to do on the tennis court is manage the voices inside his head. He engages in rituals. During breaks between play, he goes over to his bench. First, he takes a sip out of one water bottle, then he takes a sip out of another. Then he puts each water bottle back exactly where he picked them up from, on a diagonal to the court. It's a ritual he does to manage his chatter. There are no individual tools that work for all people in all situations to help manage your chatter. Instead, the real challenge is to figure out what are the unique combinations of tools that work best for you. Are you weaker for experiencing chatter? Absolutely not. You are human for experiencing chatter, so welcome to the human condition.
Get smarter, faster with videos from the world's biggest thinkers. To learn even
What did you guys think of that guy? I think he was pretty good. What do you think? Did you think he made some sense? I thought he made some sense myself, you know? Yeah, so there's one more video about Psych2Go, and then we're going to be moving into the topic of rewriting our story. So I hope you enjoyed this one. This is a good one too.
You ever feel like your own thoughts don't sound like you? Like there's a narrator in your head who comments on everything but somehow feels separate from the real you. Some days it talks like a supportive friend. Other days it sounds like someone you wouldn't even want to sit next to. And you're left wondering, why does my own brain feel like it's talking to me instead of as me? If your inner monologue often feels like a stranger, you're not imagining it. You're experiencing something surprisingly common and surprisingly misunderstood. So today we're diving into why your inner voice can feel unfamiliar, even though it's been with you for every moment of your life. The paradox of self-talk. Let's start with something strange. Your inner voice is one of the most personal things you have, but it's also one of the least understood. You might catch it sounding critical, dramatic, or even sarcastic. Tones you don't consciously choose. It might bring up thoughts you don't agree with or versions of yourself you've outgrown, and suddenly you're thinking, if this is me, why doesn't it feel like me? The feeling of detachment is normal. Your mind produces thoughts automatically. Not every thought is intentional. Not every thought reflects who you are now. It's your voice, yes, but built from years of experience, fears, memories, and expectations that you didn't exactly sign up for. The brain's internal theater. Inside your head, there isn't just one voice. There's a full cast. You might recognize the critic, the planner, the worrier, the perfectionist, the version of you from a younger age who still thinks they're trying to earn something. Each voice comes from a different part of the brain. Your prefrontal cortex handles logic and planning. Your emotional brain adds commentary. Your auditory pathways make those thoughts feel like they're being spoken, even when they're not. And when a thought bubbles up from your unconscious, maybe a belief you didn't know you still had, that's when it feels like it's the most foreign. It's like someone backstage suddenly grabbing a microphone in the middle of your performance. External filters that shape your inner voice. Here's something we don't realize. Your inner voice didn't form naturally. It formed socially. It's shaped by the way you were raised, the tone adults used with you, the expectations you internalized, comparisons you made online, moments you felt judged, even quietly. If perfection was praised in your environment, your inner voice might sound strict. If you grew up walking on eggshells, your inner voice might sound cautious. If you spent years comparing yourself to people on social media, your inner voice might speak in a tone of, "You're behind." These influences sneak in slowly. So when thoughts appear that don't sound like you, they're often the echoes of people and moments you've absorbed without meaning to. Imposter syndrome, when your inner voice doubts you. One of the clearest moments when your inner voice feels like a stranger, when imposter syndrome shows up. You achieve something meaningful and the voice says, "Really? That was luck. Don't get too confident. They'll realize you don't actually know what you're doing." That voice doesn't sound like a friend. It doesn't sound like your best, truest self. It sounds like someone questioning your worth. That's because imposter thoughts often come from old fears, not present reality. And they arrive in a tone that feels separate from who you believe yourself to be. The trick is not to fight the voice, but to identify it. Once you can say, "This is my insecurity talking, not the truth," you loosen its grip. What can you do now? How do you make your inner voice feel less like a stranger and more like your actual self? 1, notice the tone, not just the thought. A harsh tone doesn't mean the thought is accurate. It often means it's coming from an old belief, not your present self. 2, slow down long enough to observe it. Mindfulness isn't about clearing your mind. It's about recognizing what belongs to you and what you've inherited. 3, challenge the voices that punish instead of protect. You're allowed to say, "I don't talk to myself like that anymore." And 4, strengthen the voice that feels like home. You know, that gentle, steady tone that shows up when you're calm. That's the real you. Let that voice speak more often. Your mind isn't trying to confuse you. It's a mix of everything you've experienced, and you get to decide which parts stay and which parts no longer serve you. Your inner voice doesn't have to feel like a stranger, it can grow with you. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, consider subscribing. It supports the work we do at Psych2Go and helps us keep creating videos that make mental health easier to understand and easier to talk about. Thanks for watching and take care.
I think chatter
oops.
is
That's not. Oh, now there's two of these ones. Okay, let me turn back
Do you
because I
ever
have to
feel-
save those for the mental health channel on shenanigans. On shenanigans. Is you Fortnite? Yeah, same as here. Okay. Thanks, love. Yeah, I believe I'm okay. I don't know why I can't sleep. It's like I've been so busy lately that when nighttime hits, it gives me a hard time to fully relax and I can't fully fall asleep. And when I finally do, I don't rest well and always feeling tired. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know the feeling. So I don't take melatonin because it makes me really depressed the day after. It works different with different people. I just know that magnesium glycinate has been really helping me. Before bed, it helps relax and it helps me reach a deeper sleep instead of just staying that shallow sleep. You can reach a deeper sleep. Again, I'm not a doctor. I've been working with supplements for a while, but I do a lot of research on them. So I don't mix supplements that can, do wrong stuff with each other and stuff. But also, I would highly recommend Yoga Nidra. I'll DM you these things, Kiki, sweetie, because they both have helped me a lot when your mind is so busy and you can't get to that point that you want to just calm yourself down and just sleep, right? Another thing is try to be aware of the thoughts that are coming in your mind when you're trying to sleep, that keeps you awake, that prevent you from going deeper sleep, right? Try to keep an eye, an ear on your thoughts. And just like we're talking about the rewriting the thoughts, try to see which thoughts are not doing you any right and shift them into something. I know it's hard and it takes a lot of practice, but shifting them, into more self-loving thoughts. And this is what we're going to be talking actually right now. It's going to be talking about rewriting your story, right? Talk about rewrite your story on inside your head, because we all have that story that keeps playing on repeat in our head. Thank you, Caterpie, for the lurk. We appreciate the support and hope you find peace in your break. Oh no, she already came back from the break. Never mind. Hey, Frosty Tools, you're messing up there. Guided meditation sushi supplement recommendations. Yes, the guided meditation, the Yoga Nidra is the name, the guided meditation. Yes. Yeah. I can't do the THC stuff. I can't do those things. For me, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me at all, unfortunately. But the magnesium glycinate does wonders. It really helps you just when you're on that shallow sleep and you can't get to the deep sleep, the magnesium will push you forward to go into that deep sleep, No, it's definitely not for everyone, 100%, Dave. Yeah, definitely not for me. Yeah. So, yeah, rewriting your story. I think that at some point, healing asks something of us, and I know that's hard to hear because I feel like so many of us didn't choose the pain that shaped us, We didn't choose that person that walked away and abandoned us, or we didn't choose who betrayed us, we didn't choose who mishandled our trust. We didn't choose the environment that taught us to survive instead of just truly live, right? And so none of that was our choice. But I feel like even when we didn't choose the wound, we still have a part to play in our healing. Yes? So that's not about blame. It's about responsibility, and there's a big difference. Blame and responsibility, right? I think that blame says this is all my fault, and I think that responsibility is this wasn't my fault. but my healing is still in my hands, right? So that can feel unfair, but it's also really empowering, you know? Because I feel like it reminds us that our past doesn't get to decide our future forever. It doesn't get to be the dictator, right? So the amazing thing about our brain, you did not have numbers at the end. No, I don't have numbers. No. It's okay. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure something out here real quick. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Then Bamtastic, if you want, you can join my server. Okay, no problem. Yeah, this is easy. People can you know, do get games going and stuff and plan stuff. I also post all of my mental health videos in there. Like the videos that I play on my Mental Health Monday, I post them on Shenanigans. So if you want to join and stuff, but thank you. Yeah. So like I was saying, I think it was about the brain. So I think that, you know, our brain is always learning, right? Our brain can change. Like, the brain is always learning, it's changing, so the patterns that we've been living with don't have to be permanent in our lives. But, you know, they do take practice. Like, we don't change our mind because we had one emotional moment that happened. It's like, boom! We change our mind by building new habits slowly, right? Because our mind believes that what we reinforce on a regular basis, right? That's what our mind believes, and starts becoming our, you know, personality. If we keep reinforcing fear in our minds, the fear will grow. And if we keep reinforcing shame, that's gonna grow too. Same with avoidance, you know. If we keep reinforcing avoidance, that's gonna grow as well. But, you know, the opposite of all of that is also true, because if we keep reinforcing truth, truth grows. If we keep practicing courage, that's gonna grow, you know? And if we keep practicing, you know, self-comparison, that grows too. So if we keep choosing grace over shame, eventually that begins to feel familiar. For me, that's where healing becomes something much, much deeper. You know, I think that real transformation is not always about finding a brand new thought. Sometimes it's just about finally believing something healthier than the story pain told us, or the pain has been teaching us along the way. And that's why so many of us, we really genuinely, we want a better life, but we still find ourselves repeating the same patterns, right? We want peace, but we keep rehearsing our worries, you know? And we want confidence, but we keep replaying every criticism we've ever received. And we want love, but we keep expecting people to leave and abandon us, right? We want to succeed, we want success, but we keep imagining failure before we even start. And then we want change, but then we keep returning to the same inner conversation that created the version of ourselves we're trying to outgrow, right? So then we wonder why nothing feels different. And I think my truth is, this is what I feel, is that we can't build a new life while reading from the same old script. If the story inside our head never changes, neither will the life we've been trying to create, right? And there's another thing that I wanted to try to practice here. I think there's something we can try. We can think of one thought that's been making our world smaller. Just one thought. We can't fix everything today. Just one thought. One thought. You know? One thought. So let's think about that. My mind I give you a wave in DM. I sent your friend request on Discord. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no problem. Okay, I haven't, Okay, hold on. Oh, my computer is doing something weird here. Holy crap. Okay. Hold on. All my screens went black for a second here. Okay, where's my chat? Okay, my mind's fighting how I can be better. My mind's talking so hard. It is, exactly. Like, you know, it's this is the truth that like we are our own worst enemy. Right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah. But we can't fix everything like right now. We can't fix everything today. We have to start one step at a time. And it's just shifting like one sentence with another sentence, you know? Maybe like it's just as simple as saying, you know, I'm too late, you know? And instead of saying I'm too late, you can say I'm not late. I can still make most of the time I have. So you're not actually late. Sometimes even when your mind is telling you no, it's gonna go bad. You just gotta say, fuck it, we ball. Yep. Right? Like sometimes you keep saying like, I always mess things up, but you can say, I'm learning to respond different than I used to. You know, it's just like little thoughts, you know? Or like, you know, you keep thinking that everybody leaves you all the time and you say, you know, everybody leaves, nobody stays, you know, everybody abandons me. You know, I know that this is gonna happen all the time. And you can say, no, I can grieve the people I lost without believing everyone will leave all the time. You know, and the big one that a lot of people think is, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. How many people think that, you know? And instead of thinking that, instead of believing that, you can think, no, I'm still growing. I don't have to have everything figured out right now, but I'm growing. You know? And it's just like, just practice that new thought every day. You know? The thought that you always hear you say, just shift that. You know? Shift that. Shift the way you think about that thought, because you deserve more than you treat yourself. You know what I mean? And you shift not because it feels true immediately, but because our mind learns through repetition, right? We're teaching it. We're teaching our mind. We're teaching our mind that it doesn't have to keep living in the same old story, right? Like I said before, you can't build a palace while speaking the language of a prison, right? So maybe this is just time we started changing the voice that's been telling us this is all we deserve, because we deserve more than this, you know? Because I think that the life we've been trying to build can't be carried by the same words that have been keeping us stuck, right? A peaceful mind doesn't just happen. It's just something we have to just build slowly, you know? Just little habits, little you know, shifts in what we say to ourselves. And I think that's where many of us get stuck. We wait for the peace to find us, but we never create an environment where peace feels welcome, right? Like, we say we want calm, but then we practice panic. We practice panic all the time. And then we say we want clarity, but we keep feeding our minds all this confusion. And then we want stillness, but then we fill every quiet moment with noise. And having a peaceful mind, I think that doesn't mean we never have struggle. It doesn't mean we never overthink. We never not overthink, you know? It doesn't mean that we'll never feel afraid or insecure or overwhelmed or emotionally drained. You know, those feelings are all part of being human. We're human, right? I feel like maybe a peaceful mindset it just means that we've learned that our emotions don't have to make every decision for us all the time. You know, because fear can show up, but fear doesn't have to take control, right? The sadness can come and take a visit, but sadness doesn't have to decide our future. And anger, it can be there. It's gonna be there sometimes. but it doesn't have to decide to drive all of our choices, right? It doesn't have to decide everything we do. I feel like maybe, what if the quiet makes the chatter worse? Oh, that's different for everybody, Dave, you know? Because, you know, I like quiet. I like quiet. I like to be inside my mind, you know? I like that. I like to, when I have quiet is when I actually get to revisit myself as a whole without the noise, you know? If the quiet makes the chatter worse, Dave, that's a perfect time to practice all of this stuff, you know? Pay attention to all of those chatters, pay attention to all of them, and then pick one thing to make a shift. Just make a shift. Shift that one thing that is making things worse. Just shift them. Just shift that thought, one thought at a time, slowly, you know? Because a palace mind is not a mind without pain. It's a mind where pain no longer gets to rule everything. The pain is gonna be there, and the chatter is gonna be there. You know, it's just little shifts at a time. And I think that that's what healing keeps teaching us, you know? It's not during like big breakthroughs or anything like that, but in those quiet everyday moments when we choose not to let our emotion become the loudest voice in the room, in our head, you know, in our brain. Yeah. Yes, Sushi, I'm the same way. I need the quiet, but I get caught up by trying to be everywhere at once. I forget about, I know, oh my gosh! I can relate to this so much, Auntie Bubbles, you have no idea. Oh my goodness, I can totally relate to this. It's exhausting. This is why I've been taking 3 months break now. 3 months break from my regular streaming schedule. It's been April, May, and June. Oh my gosh, almost 4 months. It's like been 3.5 months. I better get back to it, but I'm not like, I'm doing, I was going to stream yesterday and no, I'm not. No, I'm doing something that is really productive right now, and I'm enjoying being productive. I'm enjoying having this time, and that's what I did. So it's okay. You know, we don't have to be, we don't, let's not forget about ourselves, right? Right? Now, can any of you tell me if you have noticed, if you have ever replaced an old habit or an old belief for a healthier one? I'm glad you're taking your time for yourself. It's so great to see. Yeah, it's important. It's important. You know, I was gonna try to push and stuff, but I decided not to. And you know, it's important to not be everywhere all the time. Sometimes we bite more than we can chew, and then we end up choking. You know what I mean? No, we can't do that. You know, we gotta be aware of those things and be aware when we're biting more than we can chew, you know, and just make little shifts. I try to make my life as simple as I can, so that I'm not overwhelmed with all this stuff, you know. Yeah, because it can be too much. It can really be too much, right? But yeah, think about something, a habit or like a belief that you shift from an old to a new one. And it doesn't have to be something huge or anything like that. Sometimes it's just changing, you know, I always failed into something like I'm still learning. You know, something easy, because those little changes, they add up over time, you know? Now, I have a really good video, and oh my gosh, I feel like, you know, next week, I was thinking of next week doing a talk on one of the Joe Dispenza books. But this is so much like what I was going to talk about that. But I don't know. I might do a poll on the server to see, you know, what you guys think and like see what we should do next week. But yeah, maybe I'll do a poll. I'll do a poll tonight. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, hi guitar guy. I'm sorry I have to pause you, even though you're lovely. I love to hear your beautiful, beautiful music. Okay, I showed this video once before. Oh, Jimberwiki, big hearts. Mwah. I'm gonna play this. I hope you guys enjoy. I played this once before, and it's a great video. So, Andy Boy Lettuce, hi, welcome in. So, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Ah, the easiest way the easiest way to change who you are by Joe Dispenza. Ah, I love Joe Dispenza. I would love to shake his hand one day, but yeah. Anyways, enjoy the video.
I think the biggest difficulty in change is making a different choice. Now think about the New Year's resolutions. Everybody's very clear about what their intention is, what they want, whatever that is. But if you keep making the same choices, you're going to keep doing the same things. You're going to keep creating the same experiences. You're going to keep feeling the same emotions. And your biology and your neurocircuitry and your chemistry and your hormones and even your gene expression is going to stay the same because you're the same. But keep thinking the same way, keep acting the same way, keep feeling the same way, and do it over and over again. Those circuits in the brain ultimately become hardwired. And the emotions that are a response to someone or something, even your own thoughts, get conditioned subconsciously as a program into the body. So 95% of who we are by the middle of our life is an unconscious set of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are automatically programmed into our biology. So the first step to change is not thinking positively. You got to become conscious of those unconscious thoughts when you decide to make a different choice and it doesn't feel familiar. The thought that says, start tomorrow, it's too hard, just do it anyway, go ahead and make that choice, do the same thing. You're not good enough, you'll never change, you're too much like your parents, I failed last time. You have to be able to become so conscious of those unconscious thoughts that you would never go unconscious to that thought ever again, and that's change. You'd have to catch yourself, how you speak and how you act. If you want to be happy and you're blaming and you're complaining and you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're judging everyone, those behaviors are not going to make you happy. They're actually going to make you unhappy. So you got to become so conscious of those unconscious habituations that you wouldn't go unconscious and behave that way. And then, of course, you got to look at those emotions that are pretty much chemical residue from the past, and decide, does this lack, does this suffering, does this pain belong in my future? And that process of becoming so conscious that we don't go unconscious is the process of change. And how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment of change. So the hard part about change is when you decide to make a different choice, get ready. It's going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be uncertainty. You're not going to be able to predict the next moment. It's going to feel unfamiliar. So if the body has been conditioned to be the mind, then the servant is the master. So the body starts sending information back to the brain to think a certain thought so that you make the same choice, that you do the same thing, you create the same experience.
This is familiar.
Get back to the same feeling of suffering. Oh, that feels so much better than the uncertainty of the unknown. So going from the old self to the new self and crossing that river literally is a neurological, it's a biological, it's a chemical, it's a hormonal, it's a genetic death of the old self. That's the phoenix lighting itself on fire. And most people would rather cling to that familiar place than take a chance and possibility. That void, that vacuum actually is the perfect place to create it. And we discovered this, that the brain changes the most when you get to that point where you think you can't go any further and you want to quit. If you go past that point, that is the unknown. Now, the unknown has always been wired in our biology, that the uncertainty of the unknown is always a scary place. Is that a tiger in the bushes, or is that just a shadow? So the unknown becomes a very scary place when we're living in survival. So most people never take that chance and possibility. But if a person's actually taught how to execute in the unknown and there's nothing scary there, and they can apply the same principle and say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And a belief is just the thought you keep thinking over and over again. So what is the voice in my head that I want to program my brain into thinking and believing? What behaviors am I going to demonstrate in my life if I'm going to not behave this way around this person or around this circumstance and I want to behave a different way? Let me rehearse in my mind, close my eyes, and get really clear on how I'm going to respond or behave in this circumstance. And the act of mental rehearsal literally grows circuits in the brain. Now your brain's looking like you've already done it. Your brain is no longer a record of the past. It's being conditioned and mapped into the future. So now you have the circuitry in place. If you keep practicing that, the hardware becomes more automatic. It becomes more of a software program, and you start behaving that way. And then the biggest challenge then is, okay, if I'm not going to feel suffering, and I'm not going to feel pain, and I'm not going to feel judgment, but I want to feel grateful for my life, can I teach my body emotionally what my future will feel like before it happens? So once you start conditioning your body to an elevated emotion, and we tend to see that the heart-centered emotions tend to be the ones that produce the most dramatic changes in our biology. And the body's so objective, it really doesn't know the difference between the real-life experience that's creating that emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. And the body starts getting lifted in a lot of ways. So keep thinking differently, keep acting differently, keep feeling differently. That's your personality. Then your personal reality begins to change. And with people who cross that river, there's new opportunities, there's new experiences, there's new events that take place in their life. So that's what we teach.
So is the issue that people, when they want change, they don't change deeply enough? They're just looking at, well, if I do this particular new physical habit, that will be able to change things. But the underlying currents that are driving that behavior are always going to come in and then take over, despite the fact that you don't want to eat sugar anymore, or you want to be more polite with your partner, or you want to be more... It's too surface level with a lot of the change that tries to be attempted.
Yeah, I think that people, unfortunately, have to get knocked to our lowest level sometimes, where you're no longer inside the jar. When you're inside the jar, you can't read the label. You got to get so uncomfortable that you could actually see yourself, right? And so that tragedy, that crisis, that disease, the diagnosis, the loss, it's got to be so severe that you finally look at yourself and say, maybe it's me. Oh my God, could it possibly be me? But you're looking at yourself kind of through the eyes of someone else because you don't feel like you in that moment. You're so uncomfortable that you can see yourself. That concept is called metacognition, right? So a lot of times people wait for that crisis or the diagnosis or the betrayal to go, oh my God, I got to really change because I'm really unhappy, or I can't blame that person or my past or my circumstance because and nothing's working here. I got to really start making those changes. So when they see themselves separate from their program, they're becoming conscious of their unconscious self. That is the first step to change. Now, I say you can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, which most people like to do, or you can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration, right? So could you be defined by a vision of the future? And could you get up from your morning practice, actually believing in your future more than you're believing in your past? So from that elevated state where you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, from an elevated state, instead of a self-limiting state, you can be conscious of that old self as well. And so I think, God, what a great time in history to be alive, because this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. This is really a time in history to know how. And I've been at this long enough to know that 20 years ago, people didn't hear it like they hear it now. The information is readily available. And people are realizing, kind of, if I have this dream, if I have this goal, how bad do I want it? And if they really want it, and we've all done this, you sit down and you say, what would it be like to be super healthy, super wealthy, super in love, super mystical, transcendental, whatever it is? Like, you ask that question and your brain gets really creative. It starts combining circuits in new ways, and you start getting this vision of the future, this possibility that you actually put yourself in this future reality. It becomes so real that you start to feel the emotion as if you were actually there. And so that moment when you come out of your resting state, the stronger the emotion you feel when you hold that vision, the more you'll remember that vision. That's creating a memory. So the person comes out of their resting state and they make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carries a level of energy that causes their body to respond to their mind. That their choice that they're making in that moment becomes a moment in time that they would never forget. They'll say to you, I remember the moment I made up my mind to change. I was in this place. I was with these people. I was this particular time. that the event is a long-term memory, and they've come out of the resting state, and we could say then they're giving their body a taste of the future emotionally, and somehow they begin to embody whatever that future is, and now they begin to move in a different direction. And so they start trusting in their future more because they feel like they're connected to it. So then the person who's really interested in making a change would have to come to that same state again in order to produce the same effect. If they say, I don't feel like it, or I want to be nicer, or whatever, and there's nothing really at stake. You know, intention is really meaning. You gotta have a meaning behind what you're doing. So people who now say, I want a better life, I can't have a better life unless I change. And when I change, my life will change. Now you're not so interested in what's happening out there. You're more interested in what's going on inside of you.
What's happening, people? Thank you very much for watching the animation. I adore After School. I think Mark is unbelievably talented, as I'm sure that you agree. And if you want to watch the full episode with Joe in all of its glory, it's available, linked in the description below.
It's available in the link. Awesome. I'm so excited. I really want to see that. Yeah. Oh, Simple. Yeah, Simple. You know, I actually, this apartment that I live in, it's the place that I've been for the longest since I moved to Canada 20 years ago. Think about it. I've been here for 25 years. And this house is the one that I have lived the longest. I've been here for 6 years. And it's a tiny place. It's a tiny place, but we make it work. And, you know, we have a yard. We have our dogs. You know, our dogs get accepted. You know, it's not always ideal. Some of the things I wish would change, but, you know. We have a roof over our heads. I keep the home clean. I did some house improvements here. You know, my landlords allow me to put new floors on the living room, rip off the carpet. I lay down new floors in the living room. I lay down new floors in the bathroom. You know, I painted another room, you know. Oh, Sushi's life is one for two. Really? Oh my gosh. You think so, Dave? Oh, that is so sweet of you to say. Life as it already happened. Amazing lesson. It is an amazing lesson by Joe Dispenza. Thank you for the watch streak, Andy. I'm trying to keep a streak on you. I was actually telling Flawless, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to keep a streak on Andy's stream. But holy, it's so hard because sometimes, you know, I'm asleep when you're on. It's like, yes, make it your own beautiful place. Yes. Yeah, just little things at a time. And we decided that we're not going to use the living room, so I made the whole living room into a streaming space. And I have a desk for Vincent's homeschooling right beside my desk. And then there's a little day bed on the other side and the 2 chairs over here. I have the kitchen over there. And I turned the dining room into a gaming room for Vinny. So we eat mostly outside or in the countertop on the little bar top, you know what I mean? And sometimes we eat in bed. On the weekends, we put a big picnic thing on the bed and we watch TV and eat on top of the picnic mat on top of the bed. Yes. Oh, it's fun. The outside table is nice to hang out there, right, Dave? Especially when the day is just right, you know? It's nice. The air here smells really nice. I feel really blessed. Morning coffee and Sudoku outside. Yes, that's right. That's right. Morning coffee and Sudoku. 100%. Love to do that. What's that symbol there? Yeah, I was curious about that triangle there. Detroit Android triangle. Oh. Yeah. Just hanging, cleaning around the place, but glad to be chilling. Yay! Hi, Jaggy. Welcome in. Oh, I love that symbol. That's so cute. Baby chick. That's a cute baby chick. It's from the Try to Become Human. Apparently, I got it from watching it. Oh, that's cool. I have that game. I want to try that game, actually. I really want to try that game. I have it. So, I wanted to, like, talk about the last little bit of this whole thing, you know? And it's about building a palace. So, You pre-ordered GTA 6? Oh, nice. Twitch is doing a crazy amount of drops this summer and a ton of badges. Nice. That's cool. I heard GTA 6 is gonna be good. Anyway, so our mind needs structure, right? That means that what we feed our mind is really important. And so what we repeat is really important. What we spend time listening to really matters. So the things we let into our lives really matter. And what we watch before bed is like so important. You know, the material we put inside our brain is so important. So what we say to ourselves when we wake up is even more important. So that's when we start the day, right? When you first wake up in the morning and you start in the day, try to just not control, but like be aware of what comes into your mind and start the shift. That's why when I wake up in the morning, I tend to just, the first thing I do before I pick up my phone or anything like that is I think, because I have an alarm going, and if I wake up before my alarm, I know that I'm not late for anything. So the first thing I do, I take a few deep breaths, and then I start feeling I fill my brain with grateful thoughts. I look around my room, and then I close my eyes, and I'm grateful for my house. Look at my kid. I'm grateful for my kid. I'm grateful for my dogs. I'm grateful for having a working vehicle, you know, for running water, for, you know, and just things that I'm grateful for, you know, because no matter where you are in life, there's always something to be grateful, you know, even when it hurts, even when it's painful. So, yes. And also, like, yeah, the people we surround ourselves with is really important too, you know. Zealous Pumpkin, thank you for being here. Thank you. Yes, gosh, my mind's like, nor stay in bed when I know I need to get up. Yeah. And you know, there's a little trick that I do when after my gratitude thing. If I can stay a little longer, of course I'm gonna stay a little longer and relax, and I put a little guided meditation sound to keep that good vibe going, you know. I usually listen to either Lois Hayes, or Neville Goddard, or Carl Jung, you know, something that has a good message to it, you know. So and then I can stay, and then I'll stay in bed sometimes until my alarm goes off. And then when my alarm goes off, and I know that that's when I have to get up, I take a few deep breaths and I go, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then I get up. That's it. Get up, go, you know? Let's go. Yes. And then I go, and then I'm up, and then I'm like, okay, we got it. Let's go. So that countdown kind of helps you kind of just go, you know? So yeah, our mind is always getting shaped by what we take in. And sometimes we're hoping for a peaceful mind, but we're always feeding chaos, you know, from the phone, you know, the comparison, the drama, you know, the constant negativity, all that noise. The world, there's so much noise going on in the world right now, you know? And then we wonder why our inner world feels so crowded, right? And to me, the truth is, for me, is that we can't keep inviting chaos into our mind and then be surprised when peace has nowhere to sit in there, you know? Sometimes the peace is not missing, it's just there's no room left for it, you know? And our mind has become so full of everything we're carrying that there's no space left to breathe, you know? Think about how many mornings start the same way, right? Before we even, you know, we've even checked in with ourselves, we already picked up our phone before we even choose our own thoughts, you know? Like, we're already on the phone. We already invited somebody else into our head, you know? We scroll through comparison, we scroll through, you know, options. We scroll through a ton of bad news, that there's tons of them out there now, you know. We scroll to someone else's, like, reel or story or whatever, you know. And before the day even started, our mind has already been pulled in 10 different freaking directions, right? Then we wonder why we feel scattered. It's not because we're weak or anything like that. It's just maybe just we're overstimulated, we're exhausted, you know. Maybe we just We've been just carrying far more than we were ever meant to carry. Maybe our mind is not broken. Maybe it's just overcrowded right now, you know? And I think that sometimes what might feel like anxiety is really our mind asking for a little more stillness. So maybe it's worth asking yourselves a few questions, you know? What have I been allowing to live rent-free in my head? You know, what conversations do I keep replaying that I need to get rid of, you know? And what voices have I been giving way too much authority in my head, you know? What habits are making my mind harder to live in, you know? Or like, what do I need to stop consuming so I can make room for healing? What have I been calling normal? What is normal, you know? What is actually draining me, you know? Because peace is not only about what we add. Sometimes peace begins when... So sometimes peace begin with what we're being willing to like remove from our lives, you know? And I think that there's something else we can try. You know, before our phone gets our attention, let's give our mind some direction, you know, just for 5 minutes in the morning. Just 5 minutes. Before any message, before any social media, before any emails, before any phone calls, before any of that stuff, you know, we just take a moment to ask ourselves 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? Where is it coming from? And what is one thought I want to challenge today? You know? Then let's choose one truth to carry with us through the day. Not something fake, not like this fake positivity or anything like that, but something honest, something grounded, you know? I picked up my phone and I put it in my fucking notebook. It's just overcrowded. Yeah, I have my phone too. There's someone that wants to buy my bike. I want to make sure I sell this bike. It's too big for me. Yes, it's available. There we go, talking about the phone. Okay. So yeah, something grounded, something honest, something that we can actually practice, you know? I don't know. Sorry. Well, guilty of that, you know? So sometimes it could be something like, today I'm not going to confuse fear with wisdom. Because fear and wisdom are 2 different things, right? And it's just maybe not letting somebody else's mood, you know, become, you know, dictate how your day goes, kind of thing, you know? You don't have to live in that atmosphere, you know, that the other person's mood brought into you. You can let it go, you know? Or maybe it's not letting your past write today's history, today's story, you know? And maybe just making a little bit of room before you make room for the noise. And I think that's small little steps to start building a palace, you know? Brick by brick, thought by thought, you know? Choice by choice, day by day, just little things at a time. I think our mind can become a prison or it can become a palace, right? Either way, we're gonna live in whatever it is that we're building. We're gonna live in there. So we gotta build it carefully, because the life that we're hoping for still has to pass through the mind we're living in every single day. And maybe the breakthrough we've been waiting for is not another opportunity. Maybe it's just not another door opening. Maybe it's finally learning to stop thinking like we're still trapped in the last room back there, you know? So we gotta keep building the person we're becoming, not because we'll ever become perfect, not because healing has a finish line, but because every small choice matters. Time to unlock the bars and turn them into pillars. That's right, Dave! Let's go! That's what I like to hear. Because every kind word that you say to yourself matters, and every healthy thought matters, Dave. And chat, yeah, every moment that we choose curiosity instead of criticism matters a lot, you know, and healing is not something that simply happened to us like this. You know, it's something that we practice. It's one thought, one choice, one day at a time. And I think the beautiful thing is that every single day gives us another chance to lay one more brick, right? So since every day gives us another chance to lay another brick, let's keep building together, right? We just need to keep building, right? Yeah. Deep breaths, deep breaths. Deep, deep breaths. I'm so grateful that I can breathe right now. I had an asthma attack yesterday, and today I followed the eating habits and stuff that helps with that. I'm feeling so much better today. Taking full deep breaths. Yes. So I wanted to leave everybody with something like this, okay? I think healing is not about becoming perfect, because there's no such thing as perfection, right? None of us are going to wake up tomorrow with every fear gone, every wound healed, and every answer figured out. That's not going to happen overnight. That's not how healing works. Healing is built in little moments, small moments, you know? It's built in the way we talk to ourselves and in the choices that we make every day. It's built in giving ourselves another chance after a difficult day, instead of convincing yourselves that we've failed. So I think that if you were to take one thing today, I would hope that you're just patient with yourself, because we're all building our palace one brick at a time, right? So thank you all so much for being here today. I appreciate every single one of you so much, you know? Sorry you had an asthma attack. Those sound scary. They can be. Yes, they can be. Yeah. It was a really early in the morning. Yeah, but I was able to control it. Yeah. Thank you so much for today's session. Thank you for being here, guys. I hope you take care of yourselves this week and like just do little exercises. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Big hugs. Thank you so much. I love you all, you guys. I'm gonna be reading out to Pink Melons. She's finally live. I actually love reading out to her on Mondays. She's super sweet. I don't know if you guys remember Pinky Melons. Do you guys remember Pinky Melons? She's so awesome. So I appreciate you sharing and streaming. I do. Yes. Thank you, Flawless. Oh, it's my pleasure. Auntie Bubbles, when I'm choosing the topic and stuff, you know, I learned so much from it as I'm, you know, getting ready for it. You know. Oh, I'm so glad you were here, Kiki. Thank you, Kiki, for being here. I appreciate all of you guys being here. I'm very grateful. Thank you. August 11th. Oh my gosh, that's in like a month, less than a month. It's gonna be a special day. Special day. Yeah. Let me see what Frosty Tool has in mind. Your mental health Mondays help me to remember myself. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Auntie Bubbles. I'm so happy it does, because like it reminds me too, and I hope it reminds everybody of little things. I hope it just adds something, you know. It's important for me. Yes. Anyways, have an amazing day, everyone. Show some love to Pinky Melons if you can. And take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And I'll see you all next time. Much love. I love you guys so much. Thank you.